I am Jandira Casemiro. I am 21 years old and I am from the province of Lemanja. Let's open our Bibles in the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 26. Do not be afraid of anyone, there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, and nothing hidden that will not be known. For I tell you in secret, speak in broad daylight, and what is whispered in your ear, preach on the housetops. Let's also read John 8 chapter 32, the word of the Lord says, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Let's skip to chapter 9, verse 1. One day, Jesus met a man on his way who had been blind from birth. The disciples asked Jesus, who sinned so that this man was born blind? Him or his parents? Jesus answered that the fact that he was born blind had nothing to do with his sin or his parents' sin, but it is so that the power of God can manifest itself in him. How did I enter Satanism? In truth, I entered Satanism unconsciously. I was consecrated in my mother's womb first through rejection. The Word of God says that He hates and visits the evils of parents to children up to the 4th generation. Unfortunately, I was the 4th generation in my family, and I was someone that received the family spell to continue the inheritance. My father was 16 and my mother was 14. When she got pregnant, and then she began to reject the pregnancy, and she said, I'm going to terminate this pregnancy because it's going to ruin my youth. I'm not even going to finish my adolescence properly. When rejection happens, Satan feels obliged to adopt this child. When I was born, I was already born with my parents' rejection. My family already had witchcraft problems and were looking for someone to inherit. I was the right person because I was coming from adultery. When my family offered me, I was already rejected, so from the womb I was already a daughter of fire. I was born a daughter of the devil. When I was born, my parents registered me as Jandira Casemiro, but Satan said I'm her father, so I registered her as Tatiana. Throughout my life, people knew me as Tatiana because my real father was the devil, so he only decided for my life. Whatever happened, whatever my biological parents determined did not happen. When I was 3 years old, Satan took possession of my body. He was already working on my character, such as not feeling, not having feelings for any type of human being, not liking people, being stubborn, persistent and other things. One thing that happens a lot with us Africans, we already have or are already initiated since we are young in one way or another. Like children, when they are born they do the traditional festivals that children do. This is an initiation into the world of darkness, so we already had this. I already had this particularity, but the devil used me. But in my subconscious he used the intelligence that God gave me to think about how to destroy Christians and how to work for him. And at the age of 5 I started making my first offers. I was admitted to one of the hospitals in Lemanja and I sacrificed the 11 children who were in the same room as me, and then they moved me to another room and there were 7 children and I sacrificed the 7, and after having sacrificed the 7 children, I left the hospital. I was at 8 years old when I had my first manifestation. I spoke in tongues. I was no longer normal. I didn't like any type of man. I felt angry at people. I thought I was super powerful because I didn't look at people the way they looked at me. I looked at my mother. I knew everything she had done the day before. I knew her whole story. That's how I looked at people, and I didn't like people because I thought everyone was very picky in front of me. I liked being able to be strong. At the age of 13 the devil took possession of my soul. What matters is not the body, it is the spirit and soul. I was the devil's temple from the age of 13. When I was 8 years old I spoke the language because we had a competition in Lemanja. They have a habit of doing girls' miss and I was the most beloved girl in the neighborhood, and another girl appeared who also spoke English, so everyone was turning to her. I looked at her and said, you're not greater than me and you never will be. You speak English and I will show you what I speak. I spoke English, French, Spanish, Italian, Russian, and everyone was looking at me. No one understood because I was very small and people were all amazed, and I was once again the people favorite. Satan gave me powers and I had to fight with Christians to strengthen myself. I didn't go through witchcraft because I was already the daughter of the devil. What wizards do by flying with a broom, toothpick and carpet, I didn't go it. All this time I was in Satanism. I didn't have any pleasure in being normal. I liked power. There was a soap opera about mutants, and I had 90% of those gifts that appear in the soap opera called mutants. I could cause pain just by looking at the person. I would kill with just words. I would say die and people would die. I was not on the side of those who had a lot of money because my job was to destroy the churches. When I wanted to have money I would say I need more or less than $5,000, and then a businessman would appear, who had never met me, but who is also a wizard, and I didn't need to leave my place. The businessman would look for me all over the city until he found me and he gave me $5,000, and I went to the clubs, more nightclub, bar, and paid for everyone who enters to consume, simply because I was interested in people's souls. Everyone who enjoy my money at night. I collected all the trash that was used and then went to one of rivers or beaches. I made an invocation and everyone's spirits were captured, taken under the sea and trapped in the cages, bottles or coffins, and those people were trapped there are among us getting on their life on earth, but they no longer have spirits. They are people whose spirits are tied and many of them die when we needed sacrifice. When a governor comes and says I need to kill someone and he doesn't have a person to sacrifice, I'll tell him I've already tied that person. Now you kill the body because the spirit, which is more difficult, I've already him tied up. When I wanted to leave one province for another I just needed to say I want to go to Luanda now and I went there with my body. Those who have a satellite dish saw the mutants doing teleportation. I had that power. At 10 years old I went to the province of Lubango. I moved with my whole family. I didn't meet with Satanist in the cemetery. I met in the celestial space, where we saw all of Angola under my feet, and we met there in space and marked the churches that prayed, and thank God Lubango was a city that was praying, and many young people were rising up, so I went there to put into practice what I was learning. Satan, he has a great line of collaborators from businessmen, pastors, evangelists. He has a great line and I needed to practice, so my father's company transferred my father to Lubango, and everyone thought we followed our father because he wasn't transferred. My father was only transferred because I needed to be there. My father's bosses thought he had to go to Lubango because they needed someone like him there, and we went. When I came to Lubango I came with the objective of doing the last consecration. Lubango is a city with many mountains and many springs. I needed to do a consecration in the mountain and so I came here, but Lubango is also a spiritual city where all the Satanists and witches in Angola gather. It is also here where the seed of Christian revival was sown, where more young people rose up to worship God, so I had to be here to be able to destroy. So when my parents came here I also came with them. But I did my work discreetly. I didn't need to go out to churches. We have something they call spiritual radar and the spiritual mirrors. Moreover, I had a tattoo, I mean 2 tattoos, that were radar or portal like a gateway. My presence was the gateway for several demons. All the demons entered through me. They would see the spiritual world in the church and were able to know what was happening in the church. The tattoos was a pact with them. They used my spirit, sometimes my soul, without me realizing it because of the tattoo, which was like an invitation. When a person has an invitation to a party, this person has free access, and tattoos were used that way. They had free access. I mean, if I leave Angola they could locate me through the tattoo. Beloved, anyone who tattoos their body in another way is used by the devil. It's no use if you're a pastor. It's no use if you're a minister of praise and intercession. Beloved, it doesn't matter if you have the tattoo, and if you haven't broken the power of that tattoo in your life you are used. Many times I was so powerful when they send me to a mission in Nigeria to work, I just summon the spirit of people who has a tattoo and send them to Nigeria and they're going to work for me. Many people go to bed tired and wake up even more tired. Many times we take the spirit of people and make their spirit work. In the spiritual world your physicality doesn't matter, your spirit matters. And everything you do in your spirit is reflected in your body. When we take your spirit we take it to work. When the spirit returns you wake up tired because the spirit is tired. When I was 13 years old, I began to be consecrated to the satanic entities. I was also recently consecrated to Mange, who is the goddess who gives axes and drinks. When I was 13 years old, I began to work seriously. I began to destroy homes first. I was also prepared to destroy homes, as I was at a very high level because I practically grew up in Satan's bed. I went to civilization under the water, because I didn't like men. I looked at people and felt anger and contempt, so whenever I was lost I would sleep and go to evil. How did I go to evil? Normally they teach you how to take the spirit out of the body and soul, then the person closes their eyes and takes the spirit out and takes it to the sea. I stayed there. I had another family there and I was the daughter of Lemanja, who was the goddess of all waters, mother whose children are like fish. She is considered the mother of all adults and the mother of the Orishas. Lemanja is actually the deity of the river that flows into the sea. She is the daughter of Olokun, the Orisha king of the oceans. There, they passed on the work to whoever they attacked. Here on earth, I would go there and they would show me the person I had to destroy. They would give me the power. When I came back to earth, I would look at the person and I could already see the person's life and complete history, not only theirs but their entire family. Then I would think about how to attack them. Sometimes we would encounter some difficulties, depending on the family members and the people around that person, so we would infiltrate one of those family members to be able to destroy our target. I threatened people. I was super powerful. I didn't need to like witches to kill the people physically. My job was not to kill the physical, it was to bind the souls and destroy churches. It was not just any church, it had to be a church that in the spiritual world represented danger, because there are churches that really don't represent danger. So, in those dead churches I didn't need to go. I was only called when the church presented danger, or when in those churches there were found God remnants and the elect. So I went there to frustrate the plans of those young people who follow Christ. For a long time I did this. I needed to go from being a daughter to being a wife of the devil and receiving what is the diploma of the daughters of fire. The daughters of fire are women who are prepared to destroy pastors and religious leaders. I watched a horror movie. I went to invoke the demon in the horror movie. Let's be careful with what we watch. I invoked that spirit because I saw it in the movie. When I got to the room, he told me, "Do you remember me in the horror movie?" I said I remember. Later I stood in front of my mirror and said, "I want to be the most desired woman in the world." And they all showed up in my room and asked me, "What do you want to be like?" I said, "I want to be black with brown hair, beautiful with wide eyes." And they looked at me and said, "Why do you want to be like this?" And I said, "If I have this shape I will be able to destroy many men and it will be easy because many women will want to be like me and they will also sin." And they looked at me and said, "You are fit to be a daughter of fire." I took the form of the person I wanted for myself. I had a double form. I had the form of Jandira and I had the form of the daughter of fire. They told me, "Now you need to make the first blood pact, beloved." All wizards know that when they go there they need to make the first blood pact because wizards are only recognized when they kill. Wizards who have never made a blood pact are worthless, but as I was the daughter of the devil I couldn't expose myself and I couldn't kill a person like that. At the age of 16 I did my first blood consecration, but all consecrations have to be through sexual act. I did not kill any person physically, still I offered my womb. I did the first abortion to the god Moloch, who is the god of child sacrifice. I would have the protection of the god Moloch, the god of child sacrifices, after the abortion. Later I did more and then I went up a little level and began to speak with more demonic entities. One of the accidents we had there in the city of Lubango is the Carnival accident, and it was Carnival that caused a lot of people to die in Lubango. Then an individual from the government needed to stay in place because he came in order to make a great sacrifice. Because this politician wanted to remain in the government, as they were authorities, we said take the carnival off the Haberville side and take it to this particular place. The city of Lubango is a place dedicated to demon. Each neighborhood of the city was dedicated to a lady, so each neighborhood is consecrated to a goddess. There is one who is very annoying. She is Our Lady of the Hill, and we say how wicked she was. The politician took the carnival out of the usual place and to another place in order to consecrate the place another diva. We went and did the consecration, and we said if anyone set foot here on the carnival day, if you don't die you'll be taken away, and if you are not taken away you'll be crazy, and you'll die depending on the time. That same day people were there parading, and a truck uncontrollably curved in a place that was impossible to bend over, and the truck ran over a large number of people. Many died without the truck touching them, and others disappeared in a mystical way, and others lived and died slowly, because they were also spiritually dead already. It was said whoever set foot here is already dead, and to our sadness there were many Christians that day and it was a carnival. Those people died and the politician remained in the government.